So here is what I'll call the Goritzki bow foam, which is just so comfortable. It's kind of addictive. And I've been meaning to make a video for a long time because so many people want to know how to make them themselves. Anyway, this one I have on this bow, I made it with a kind of tan foam because I was doing a video and I didn't want it to kind of look too ridiculous. The kind that you can mostly use happens to be green. So you can go to a fabric store and get that, and I think some people have got them even at like furniture stores where you can get upholstery or something, or a craft store. I happened to get this at a place called Joanne Fabrics. They have a whole area with huge chunks of foam. Sometimes you can only get huge big slabs, but basically they will cut it to size for you. First step is to cut off a cube about this big. Then you'll take the frog off of the bow. Take that, so hold it like this so it doesn't just fall off. So you take that screw out. And then you will put that to the side and then take this and then you will make a hole through it. Now you have to be really careful. Once I was so busy talking to a student, I did it and I kind of cut myself. So be very careful, and you will hold it like this and carefully squash it, and be very careful that you do it slowly and you don't hurt your finger. And you make a hole. Now you don't want to make it too big because then when you get it on the stick of the bow, it's just going to kind of spin around, and you don't need that. You need it to be firm. So I've got a little hole there, and now carefully hold it with your thumb and forefinger so you don't lose that hole, because once you do, you'll never find it again. So I've got that with my thumb and forefinger, and now without losing that hole, I work it through like this. So you see how it's gone over the stick like this. Now, I know it looks ridiculously too big, but what I've found for myself, now maybe you guys out there can do a better job, but I found for myself, if I start with it too small, by the time I clip it back, it's not very good. So you leave the frog off, and then you start clipping it back. So at first, of course, you can clip off huge, big chunks, but I just like starting from a big one. I feel like I have more success with it that way. Okay, so I've clipped back a little bit. It's a mess, right? So it's obviously way too big. Start taking the edges out like this. You know, so you're just getting it smaller and smaller. On this side too, going around like this. Okay, now it's small enough that you can probably put the frog back on at this point. Here it's a little tricky because you see the place where you put that little thing where you put the frog on. Now it's a little tricky because you've got to get it in here. You have to make sure that this part of the frog does not pinch the foam. So you've got to kind of scoop it under the foam, pull the foam in this direction, and get the frog under that. Make sure that you're not catching any of the foam. And then press it on. Now you have to very firmly hold it like that or the whole thing will pop out. Hold it really firmly and put the screw back on. Hold it real tight there. Screw it in until the frog starts pulling back. Now I have my bow tie. You see it's too big still, but it's smaller and you could get the frog on. Now you start kind of clipping it back just to taste. Some people like them really slim, some like them less streamlined. What I would suggest is that since we hold the bow like this side of it, get that really flat. Just get that as unobtrusive and just kind of as flat as possible. You basically want as little as possible there, because if you have a whole lot, it can lead to bad habits. Like people then start doing this to try to accommodate the foam, and they mess up their bow hand. So we don't want that. So we want this really thin. Okay, so I've kind of clipped it back. Now you can see how it's blue. Some people feel very self-conscious because a lot of people, if it's something they're unfamiliar with, they might criticize you. What's that ridiculous thing you have on your bow? It's only because they never had one. You know, Goritzki is the only person I know who ever had this, and so it's why I call it the Goritzki bow phone. So if you want a less obtrusive color, I found this a little harder to find, but it's, you know, less obvious. But anyway, now this part is where your thumb goes. This is the beauty of it, is that you have this incredible cloud to ride on here. And you'll find you can either make a little clip there so that the thumb just kind of like fits right in there, but actually the thumb will do it itself. It'll just make a little indentation. And then if you want it really streamlined, you can cut it back to taste. But basically, that's it.